I just picked up this cheap Batman toy for around 10 bucks, and I'm turning it into an epic fight scene using the magic of 3D printing, taking inspiration from Batman v Superman and Injustice 2. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and let's roll the intro. Before we jump into it, I want to let you know that the next few videos on my channel are older ones I'm re-uploading, so the quality is going to improve after the next 3 or 4 uploads. Also, if you're into airsoft content and guides, make sure to check out my main channel, Bat and Diorama. Now let's dive into the video. Here, I've got Shoutout box open and ready to go. I've imported all my files, including this Kryptonite armor Batman I found online and an Injustice 2 Superman figure. If we look closer to Batman's choice of armor in both Injustice 2 and Batman vs Superman, it's a bulky suit layer over his regular costume. I've scaled them down to match the size of the original Batman toy, so everything is kind of proportionate. Go ahead and pause here if you want to follow my settings. Once everything is prepped, I send the files to my printer and hit print. And voila, here are all the parts. Next, I sand down all the 3D printed pieces and apply a coat of airbrush primer to make the surface smooth and ready for painting. I've never been a fan of capes on bulky suits, so I decided to remove it. Running around with all that weight plus a cape just didn't make much sense to me. For the base, I'm using some packaging foam. I gave it a black base coat to darken it up and then got to work on Batman himself. Using a rough brush, I created texture on his figure and gave him a gunmetal silver base coat. For the gauntlet, I added an emerald green accent to make it look like kryptonite veins flowing through it. I also highlighted the cracks and muscle details on the armor with kryptonite green. Afterward, I superglued the 3D printed parts onto Batman, ensuring that the helmet was cut in half, just like in the movie, for that battle-worn look. The 3D printed parts got the same metallic silver finish. The parts are scaled so perfectly that I don't even need glue. Once they're on the figure, they sit tightly in place. I cut the chest plate from one side to make it easier to attach. Plus, it makes sense that he's taken multiple hits in that area, causing the armor to break. After that, I give the remaining parts the same silver paint. Those oversized kryptonite blades looked a bit off, so I cut them down to a shard and turned it into a spear, inspired again by the movie. Gold accents went onto the spear and Batman's utility belt to tie it all together. While that's set aside to dry, let's talk about Superman himself. This version of Superman in the Injustice series is absolutely insane. The Joker poisons him, triggering hallucinations that lead him to fly a pregnant Lois Lane into space. Without knowing, he ends her life. Consumed by rage, he puts a hole through the Joker and sets out to fix the world. With Batman being the only real obstacle in his way, Superman initially has most of the Justice League on his side, but they eventually turn against him. And honestly, I think the worst written character in Justice is Wonder Woman. Her portrayal doesn't do her justice at all, it just feels off. I have to admit, the story was entertaining when it first came out, but at this point, the whole Batman vs Superman rivalry feels stale. These two are supposed to be best friends, yet writers keep forcing them into conflicts instead of letting them work together. One of the best adaptations of their fight scene, in my opinion, is from Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. It was executed beautifully in both the animated movie and in the comic. That said, making Superman a government puppet never really made sense to me, but the fight choreography and dialogue were top tier. If we look at the figure here, I gave him an ultramarine blue base coat, then painted over it with dark blue to add texture, and make his suit look more rugged. Then I moved on painting the face, the emblem, and accenting details in gold. This helmet design for Superman is absolutely perfect. It covers his jaw and neck while leaving his ears exposed so he can still hear the world. Plus, his slick hair is still visible. The helmet extends slightly on the sides, almost like a half crown, which is just perfect. I gave his hair a glossy wash to make it look like it's loaded with gel. For his eyes, I attached 2 pieces of toothpick painted red to stimulate laser beams. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done. If you have any ideas for better beam effects, let me know. I was thinking about using LEDs, but figuring out where to hide the cables and battery would be tricky. For his cape, I used a piece of old red shirt I found. It looks way better than a printed cape and allows me to adjust the pose. I glued it to the back where the cape is supposed to attach. I used Diorama rocks to create the base layer, then sealed it with spray adhesive. There's a split in the foam that makes it look like a cracked road. To enhance that, I glued on chunks of concrete I found at a construction site and painted them to match the base. Once I placed Superman, the cracked road made even more sense, his sheer weight crushing it down. Then I positioned Batman in a kneeling stance above him, holding the spear close to Superman's head. To add drama, I attached Superman's cape to Batman's hand, making it look like Superman had been dragged around and Batman had the upper hand. This is the part in the movie where Superman utters his mother's name, Martha, and well, you know what happens next. I also attached a chunk of kryptonite to Superman's chest, since this version of Batman is also pretty unhinged. And with that, the build is complete. Now time for some glamour shots. As always, thanks for watching, and I promise the quality will be even better in upcoming videos.